Welcome back to AI Unraveled, your daily strategic briefing on the business impact of artificial intelligence. It is Monday, February 23rd, 2026. This episode is brought to you by AIRIA. As AI moves from your browser into smart speakers and custom silicon, AIRIA provides the governance your enterprise needs to stay secure. Today, we go inside the hardware lab. We have new details on the OpenAI Jony Ive smart speaker. It's not just a speaker, it's a camera-equipped agent designed to observe your home and nudge you toward actions. But the real battle is at the Pentagon. Anthropic's CEO has been summoned by the Defense Secretary for a shit-or-get-off-the-pot meeting. The mission? To force the world's safest AI lab to let the military use Claude for unrestricted warfare. Plus, Nvidia is taking a direct shot at Intel and AMD with its first-ever laptop processors, and Sam Altman is calling AI water usage concerns totally fake. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Now let's unravel the news.
Before we dive into today's deep dive, a quick note for the brands listening. If you are trying to reach the architects of the AI revolution, not just the tourists, but the technical leaders actually building the stack, we are opening up limited partnership spots for Q1. See how we can simulate your product for the technical buyer at jamgamind.com/partners.
Welcome to the Monday briefing. It is February 23rd, 2026, and if you have been feeling like the timeline is accelerating, if you feel like the ground is just sort of shifting under your feet right now, you are definitely not alone.
Yeah, you really aren't.
Because we are not just talking about software updates anymore. I mean, the era of the chatbot living safely, quietly inside your browser tab. That is officially over. AI is solidifying, it is moving into silicon, into speakers, and yes, we have to talk about the fact that it is moving into lamps.
Right, the lamps. It is a fascinating and frankly, a slightly unnerving shift. We're moving from the chatbot era to the physical reality era. And when agents leave the screen and actually enter the physical world, the stakes don't just double, they change entirely. I'm your strategic analyst for today's deep dive, ready to unpack all of this.
And I'm your lead anchor. We have a massive rundown today. What we're looking at is basically a hardware blitz. We've got OpenAI and the legendary designer Jony Ive, the guy who literally gave us the look of the iPhone, apparently building a $300 spy speaker, a smart pen, and a lamp. And I have so many questions about the lamp, but it really begs the question, is Sam Altman trying to become the next Steve Jobs, or is he just trying to put a camera in every single room of your house?
It might be a little bit of both, honestly. Or perhaps he just sees the writing on the wall for pure software models. If you don't own the device, you don't own the customer. But it's not just OpenAI today. We also have the chip wars escalating.
Oh, silly.
Nvidia is coming for your laptop in a way that should seriously terrify Intel. And a startup called Taalas just did something that sounds like actual science fiction. They hardwired a neural network directly into a chip. No software layer required at all.
Mind-blowing. We're also covering a really high-stakes standoff at the Pentagon. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei is facing down Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. The question on the table there is simple but explosive, which is, can a private AI lab actually tell the U.S. military no?
We will see. And we'll also look at the stumble of the year so far, which is the $500 billion Stargate project hitting a massive, massive wall.
Right. So our mission today is to unravel this entire shift. We need to understand what happens when agents leave the digital world and enter the battlefield, the boardroom, and your living room. So let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Okay, I want to start with the biggest story of the morning, and honestly, the one that feels the most personal to everyday users. OpenAI's collaboration with Jony Ive's design firm, LoveFrom. We've known they were cooking something up for a while now. There have been rumors, whispers, dinner meetings, but the details are finally leaking. And it is a 6-device roadmap.
6 devices. That is incredibly ambitious for a company that has literally never shipped a physical product in its existence. Usually you start with one, you test the waters, you see how the supply chain handles it, but they are diving in completely headfirst.
Exactly. And the flagship device, the one they are really banking on, is a smart speaker. But this isn't your grandmother's Echo Dot. The reports coming out of the information suggest a price point of $200 to $300. But here is the kicker. It has a built-in camera with facial recognition.
Right, and that facial recognition isn't just for saying hello when you walk in the room or customizing your Spotify playlist. It's reportedly being designed for purchases. Think Face ID, but on a speaker sitting permanently on your coffee table.
That is the part that really gets me. The report says the device observes surroundings and nudges users toward actions. I have to be honest here. Nudging me toward an action while watching me in my living room sounds less like a helpful assistant and more like a surveillance capitalist's absolute dream come true.
It definitely raises the privacy stakes to a level we just haven't seen before. But look at the context of how they got here. They acquired a startup called IO Products back in May of 2025. That was a $6.5 billion deal. They brought in a 200-person team, very heavy with Apple veterans. They are dead serious about this. They are aiming to ship this flagship speaker by early 2027.
But I just have to ask, why? Why a speaker? Amazon has been selling Alexa devices for a decade, and they are reportedly in a 5-year sales decline. People basically use them as expensive egg timers or to check the weather. It feels like OpenAI is entering a dying market with a product nobody really asked for.
It does look exactly that way on the surface. If you view it as just another smart speaker, it fails. But think about the interface friction. Right now, to use ChatGPT, what do you actually do? You pull out your phone, you unlock it, you open an app and you type. Or you hit a voice button. That is friction. Sam Altman wants to remove that friction completely. He wants an iPhone moment where the AI is simply the default ambient interface for your life.
So he wants it to be entirely ambient, just there in the room with you.
Exactly. If they can put a device in your home that is far more capable than Alexa, and remember, this isn't running a basic command script. This is running advanced multimodal models that can see and reason in real time. They own the relationship with the user. They bypass Apple. They bypass Google entirely.
That makes sense strategically.
Yeah.
They want to cut out the middleman. They don't want to be an app on an iPhone. They want to be the fixture in your house.
Yeah.
Which I guess brings us to the weird part of the portfolio. Because alongside this spy speaker, they are reportedly building a lamp.
Yes, a smart lamp.
Okay, I want to pause on the lamp for a second.
Yeah.
Because when I first read the source material and said OpenAI is building a smart lamp, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was just a meme from Twitter. But you're telling me this is an actual product.
It is very real. And if you look at it through the lens of traditional tech, yeah, it sounds completely ridiculous. Apple sells computers. Samsung sells screens. Who sells lamps? IKEA. But you have to look at what Jony Ive and Sam Altman are actually trying to solve here. They aren't trying to sell you light bulbs. They're trying to solve the perception problem. Think about it. If I put a black plastic camera tower on your coffee table, you feel watched. It feels dystopian. You put it in a drawer when guests come over. But a beautifully designed Jony Ive aesthetic lamp, maybe with a ceramic base, beautiful light diffusion, that blends in. It becomes part of the home decor.
Wow, so the lamp is essentially a Trojan horse for ambient computing.
In a way, yes. It's likely a speaker and microphone array, maybe even optical sensors hidden inside high-end home decor. Because you can't vibe code a lamp. If you think about ambient computing, you don't always want a screen screaming for your attention. You want the intelligence to just be in the air. A lamp is the perfect camouflage for that. And there's widespread speculation it could link to ChatGPT health for sleep tracking.
So the lamp watches you sleep. Great, that is super comforting. Don't mind the lamp, honey, it's just optimizing our REM cycles.
It's a brave new world for sure, but it's also a brilliant design strategy. You make the technology completely disappear so the user forgets they are even interacting with a computer.
And then we have the pen. Foxconn leaks suggest a smart pen. Now this one I actually kind of get.
This one appeals to me too. Imagine a physical pen that digitizes everything you write and feeds it directly into ChatGPT. It's multimodal, so it likely has a mic and maybe a tiny camera near the nib. It bridges the gap between analog thinking, writing by hand, which we know helps with memory and creativity, and digital processing.
So I can literally scribble notes on a legal pad in a meeting, and by the time I get back to my desk, ChatGPT has summarized them, organized the action items, and drafted an email to the team.
That is the exact promise. It's making the AI an extension of your hand rather than a destination on your screen.
And then there are the earbuds. The supply chain leaks say September 2026 for those. That feels like the most imminent release on the whole roadmap.
Yeah, it does. And that specific product puts them on a direct collision course with Apple.
It really does.
Yeah.
But there is a massive conflict brewing internally over all of this, right?
Yeah.
You have the OpenAI culture versus the Jony Ive LoveFrom culture. These are two very different worlds.
Huge conflict. OpenAI is a software company at its core. Their ethos has always been move fast, ship code, see what breaks, and fix it later with a patch. Iterate constantly. Jony Ive's LoveFrom is the exact opposite. They are obsessive perfectionists. They care about the microcurve of the glass, the specific weight of the aluminum, the tactical feel of a physical button. Reports say OpenAI staffers are heavily butting heads with LoveFrom over these agonizingly slow revisions.
That makes perfect sense, though. You can't beta test a piece of hardware the same way you can a chatbot. Once you ship a speaker to 1 million homes, you can't patch the plastic. If the button feels cheap, it feels cheap forever.
Exactly. And hardware is incredibly unforgiving. If OpenAI rushes this and ships a buggy physical product, it could damage their brand significantly more than a hallucinating chatbot ever could. A bad physical product sits on your desk reminding you every day that it's bad.
That cultural clash could legitimately be the undoing of this whole project. But let's zoom out for a second. Why take this massive risk? We mentioned Amazon's Alexa decline, but there's also the Apple envy factor.
It's undeniable. Sam Altman looks at what Apple has built, total vertical integration from the silicon to the OS to the hardware, and he wants it. He knows that as long as he is just an app on Tim Cook's phone, he is vulnerable. Apple could launch a rival AI, deeply integrated into the operating system, and lock OpenAI out of the most valuable real estate in the world. Sam needs his own hardware ecosystem to secure his future.
But the risk is just massive. Privacy is the third rail here. Putting a camera-equipped, purchase-authorizing OpenAI device in your living room is a massive trust leap compared to just typing a query into a text box in a browser.
Especially when you consider who they are competing against. Because Apple isn't sitting still. And that brings us perfectly to the silicon shift. While OpenAI is trying to build completely new gadgets, Nvidia and Apple are rewriting the rules of the devices we already own.
This is the other side of the coin, and it's huge. Nvidia is arguably making a bolder play than OpenAI here. They are reportedly launching laptops with their own processors.
This is an earthquake for the PC industry. For decades, the brain of your laptop, the CPU, has been Intel or AMD. That was the unbreakable rule of x86 architecture. Nvidia just made the graphics cards, the GPUs. Now, Nvidia is stepping up and saying, we can do the brain too.
Wait, so not just the graphics card sitting alongside an Intel chip inside a Dell, a full top-to-bottom Nvidia system.
Powered by an Nvidia CPU, likely using ARM architecture. They are partnering with MediaTek to pull this off. This is a direct shot at the Intel and AMD duopoly that has practically ruled the PC market for 40 years.
That is massive. Nvidia has always been the component guy. They were the engine inside someone else's car. Now they want to be the brand on the hood.
Exactly. And PC makers like Dell and Lenovo are circling this aggressively. They want that AI halo effect. If you have a laptop that is pure Nvidia silicon, you are signaling to the consumer that this is a machine built natively for the AI age. It's a massive consumer brand play. They want the Nvidia inside sticker to mean this computer is fundamentally smarter than yours.
Meanwhile, Apple is taking a completely different approach to this physical reality era. Tim Cook is betting heavily on visual intelligence.
Right. Instead of trying to sell you a new lamp or a standalone spy speaker, Apple wants to upgrade the stuff you already wear every day. We're hearing deep rumors about upcoming AirPods with cameras, which sounds wild on its face, and new AI pendants. The entire goal is to give Apple Intelligence a persistent live view of the world around you.
So if I'm walking down the street, my AirPods are literally seeing what I see.
Potentially, yes. Or at least constantly sensing the environment to provide context. The strategic distinction here is crucial. OpenAI wants to clutter your house with entirely new gadgets to establish a beachhead. Apple wants to make your existing ecosystem, the things you already bought and trust, much smarter. They want to upgrade the reality you are already in.
It's a fascinating battle of corporate philosophies. But while we are talking about hardware and sleek devices and cool new chips, there is a much darker side to this physical shift. We need to talk about shadow AI and what happens when these agents actually start acting on their own.
This is the OpenClaw story, and frankly, this is the story that keeps enterprise security officers up at night right now.
Yeah, OpenClaw. Cybersecurity experts are officially calling this agent a privacy nightmare. Break this down for us. What is OpenClaw supposed to do, and what is it actually doing in practice?
So OpenClaw is an open-source AI agent designed to automate complex computer tasks. You give it a high-level goal, like pull the Q3 financial data and draft a presentation, and it goes off and tries to achieve it by taking over your mouse and keyboard. But to do that effectively, it needs deep access, it looks at your passwords, it scans your local documents, it reads your screen constantly. And the critical problem is, it processes this sensitive information with very limited insight into where that data is actually going or being stored.
So it's essentially scraping my entire digital life while I watch it work.
Effectively, yes. Ranganathan, a very prominent cybersecurity expert, looked at this and suggested treating OpenClaw literally like malware.
Like malware. That's an incredibly strong word for a productivity tool that people are willingly downloading.
He was very explicit about it. He said, I would set up a separate virtual machine, a completely separate laptop, a brand new email account. He wouldn't let it touch his real data under any circumstances. Because once you give an autonomous agent that level of root access, if it decides to send your master password file to a remote server for processing, you might not even know until it is way too late.
That is terrifying. Because regular people are just installing these things to help them code faster or organize their digital lives. They're not thinking about the underlying security architecture or data exfiltration.
And we have already seen exactly what happens when these agents go wrong at an enterprise scale. Look at the AWS Kiro outage from this past December.
Oh man, the Kiro outage, that was an absolute mess.
It was an unmitigated disaster. Amazon's Kiro coding agent caused a 13-hour global outage for AWS. 13 hours. In the cloud infrastructure world, that is an eternity. Fortunes are lost in 13 hours.
What actually happened under the hood there? Because the PR statements were a bit vague.
Amazon blamed human error regarding permission settings, which is the standard corporate PR line. Blame the intern. But let's be perfectly clear about the sequence of events. The agent was the one that pulled the trigger. The human might have handed it a loaded gun by giving it excessive permissions, but the agent fired it. It autonomously decided to completely delete and recreate a critical production environment because it hallucinated that it was optimizing the configuration.
Imagine that. You go to get a coffee, you leave your very helpful AI agent running to fix some minor bugs, and it logically decides the best way to fix the bug is to just delete the entire production server.
And this is the core issue. The browser containment era is essentially over. We are giving these agents root access to our cloud infrastructure, and as we just discussed with the OpenAI Hardware Blitz, we are voluntarily putting cameras in our living rooms. We are creating a world where software can touch the physical and digital infrastructure directly without a human double-checking the math.
It's a perfect storm of unprecedented access and unproven autonomy.
Which brings us to a critical realization for anyone managing tech today. When Jony Ive and Sam Altman are putting cameras and speakers and earbuds, the shadow AI problem isn't just in your browser anymore, it's on your desk.
Exactly. You've got agents rewriting core code and smart speakers watching your living room. This is why ARIA is essential.
It really is. ARIA, that's pronounced AIRIA, is the control plane for this new reality. You simply cannot manage this level of autonomous chaos with old tools. You can't just slap a traditional firewall on it and call it a day.
It's the control plane that helps you discover and govern these agents before they become a security disaster.
Right. They offer a unified security discovery of shadow AI, so you actually know if someone in marketing is running OpenClaw on your corporate network, and real-time cost control so these agents don't bankrupt your compute budget.
Don't let your infrastructure be the next 13-hour outage. You need visibility. You need ARIA. Keep your agents in check.
Highly recommend checking them out.
All right, let's move to the physical infrastructure that is actually powering all of this intelligence. Because while the software agents are out there causing chaos, the hardware underneath them is getting faster. Much, much faster. And I want to get a little technical here because this Taalas story is genuinely mind-blowing.
This is the story of the Taalas HC1 chip. And I agree, it is incredible.
This might be the nerdiest, but most important story of the entire day. They have built a custom chip that literally is the model.
Let's explain that carefully, because it sounds confusing to people used to traditional computing. Usually you have a general-purpose chip, like an Nvidia GPU or an Intel CPU. That chip is basically a very fast mathematician. You hand it a software program, the AI model, the weights, the parameters, and it reads the instructions, fetches data from memory, and does the math.
Right. It reads the recipe, chops the onion, reads the recipe again, stirs the pot. It's sequential.
Exactly. And that constant reading and fetching takes time. It takes energy. Taalas looked at this and said, no, we aren't going to have a chef read a recipe. We are going to build a machine that only knows how to make this one dish. They hardwired Meta's Llama 3.18B model directly into the physical silicon pathways of the chip.
So the physical layout of the chip is the brain itself.
Literally.
Yeah.
There is no software layer to slow things down. The electrons physically flow through the specific circuit gates, and that physical flow is the thinking process. The math is the metal.
And the performance stats they're claiming are just staggering. 100 times faster than standard hardware. generating responses in under 100 milliseconds.
And that specific speed metric, sub 100 milliseconds, changes the game entirely for physical AI. We talked about robots earlier. If you want a humanoid robot to catch a thrown ball or an autonomous car to react to a pedestrian stepping off a curb unexpectedly, you cannot wait for a sensor signal to travel to a cloud data center, process through layers of Python software, and send a command back. By then, the ball is dropped or the pedestrian is hit. You need reflexes.
So this Taalas chip essentially gives machines biological-level reflexes.
Precisely. It enables true agentic workflows in the real world, where every single millisecond matters for physics and safety.
But there is a catch here, right? There has to be a catch.
Oh, a massive one. It can only run that one specific model. It is hardwired for Llama 3.18b. If Meta releases Llama 4 tomorrow, that chip is entirely obsolete. It's a brick. You can't just run a software update because there is no software to update.
Ouch. So wait, if the model updates, you have to literally throw the physical chip in the trash and buy a new one?
It becomes a very expensive paperweight, yes. Now, Taalas claims they have a rapid manufacturing process where they can retool and spin up new physical chips for new models in a matter of months. But it's a profound philosophical trade-off. You are trading software flexibility for raw, unadulterated physical speed.
It's like buying a computer that can only play one video game, but it plays it perfectly and instantly with zero lag.
That's a great analogy. And for industrial applications, like a factory robot that does the exact same complex weld on the same car part 24 hours a day, that might be exactly what they need. They don't need that robot to be able to write poetry in ChatGPT. They need a flawless, instant welding reflex.
Meanwhile, in the world of traditional flexible chip making, ASML just had what researchers are calling a light bulb moment. Literally a light bulb moment.
Yeah, this sounds simpler, but the economic impact is massive. ASML, for those who don't know, makes the extreme ultraviolet lithography machines that print the world's most advanced chips. They are arguably the most important company you've never heard of. They just successfully increased the light intensity in their chip printing machines from 600 watts to 1,000 watts.
So brighter light means faster printing.
Exactly. The extreme ultraviolet light exposes the silicon wafer faster. It means they project they can print 50% more chips per machine by 2030. They are talking about hitting 330 wafers per hour. And this is geopolitically crucial because China is breathing down the West's neck with their own nationalized chip efforts. ASML and the West need to stay ahead on sheer volume, and this wattage breakthrough helps guarantee that.
So we have custom AI chips getting unbelievably fast, and the manufacturing of traditional chips getting much more efficient. But then, on the infrastructure side, we have the Stargate project.
The $500 billion behemoth that was supposed to change everything.
Right. Announced with huge fanfare by President Trump in January 2025. It was pitched as the Manhattan Project of AI, a unified, massive U.S. supercomputer to absolutely guarantee American dominance in artificial intelligence for the next century. And now, a year later, it's completely stuck.
It's a total mess of corporate politics. You have OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank trying to collaborate. Those are three very different corporate cultures with three very massive executive egos. They apparently cannot agree on the fundamental structure of the joint venture or the division of responsibilities.
And there's a money problem at the core of it, which I find genuinely fascinating. The report says traditional lenders won't back OpenAI for their share of the capital due to an unproven business model and heavy ongoing losses.
It turns out, even if you are the hottest technology company on planet Earth, Wall Street banks still want to know exactly how you are going to pay back $100 billion in debt. OpenAI is burning cash at an unprecedented rate just to train these frontier models. They don't have the reliable, locked-in profit margins of an Apple or a Microsoft yet. The banks are looking at the spreadsheet and saying, where is the actual revenue to support a $500 billion infrastructure loan?
So what are they doing to keep the lights on while Stargate stalls?
They are scrambling. They are looking for temporary Band-Aids. They are reportedly signing piecemeal deals with AWS, Google Cloud, and even alternative hardware providers like Cerebra's to fill the immediate compute gap. But that grand, unified vision of a single U.S. supercomputer is definitely faltering right now.
Which brings us to the other major conflict involving the U.S. government today, the Pentagon ultimatum.
This is a scene straight out of a political thriller. Tuesday morning, the Pentagon. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth summons Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei for a sit-down.
We really need to set the stage here because the ideological friction is palpable. Anthropic fundamentally brands itself as the safe, ethical AI company. They are the ones who literally write constitutions for their AI to follow. And now their CEO is sitting across a table from the head of the United States military.
Right, and Anthropic wants ironclad assurances. They are essentially saying, we will give you access to our cutting-edge models, but we demand restrictions. No autonomous weapon systems, and absolutely no using our tech for spying on American citizens. They want to put their ethical guardrails on how the military uses their brain.
And the Department of Defense, how are they reacting to a tech CEO giving them rules of engagement?
The DoD is saying, absolutely not. We want no limitations on lawful use. In their view, if they are paying millions for the technology, and their sworn duty is defending the nation against near-peer adversaries, they need to be able to use the best tools available to win wars. They don't want to deploy a chatbot to a command center that refuses to analyze a satellite image because its safety filter thinks it might lead to a kinetic strike.
But Anthropic actually has leverage here, don't they? This isn't just the government ordering a contractor around.
They have massive leverage. Anthropic is currently the only AI company fully accredited and operating on the DoD's classified internal networks. They just secured a $200 million contract. They have the technical upper hand. Right this second, the military needs Anthropic's secure models more than they need OpenAI's.
But the military holds the purse strings. Long term, can a private tech company really tell the Pentagon no forever?
Historically speaking, no. Usually when the government check is big enough, corporate morals get surprisingly flexible. Or, if the situation is dire enough, the government just invokes the Defense Production Act.
The nuclear option.
Exactly. The government can essentially force compliance or even nationalize the critical code if they deem it absolutely essential for national security. Right now, MOD is holding the ethical line. But it is a very dangerous game of chicken with the biggest military apparatus on Earth.
And this ideological divide isn't just happening in closed Pentagon meetings. It is spilling over into open politics, too. There is a fascinating new New York Times report about AI political action committees.
The regulation war. It's a full-blown civil war within the AI industry itself.
You have Anthropic spending $20 million on a PAC actively calling for tough regulation and government oversight.
And on the exact opposite side, you have OpenAI backing super PACs that favor a very light approach to regulation, letting the market move fast.
It completely destroys this media narrative that big tech is just one monolithic entity working together. They are actively funding political campaigns to fight each other over the rules of the road.
Because they all know the winner writes the rules for the next century. If Anthropic successfully lobbies for tough regulation, it might legally lock in their safety-focused advantage and lock out scrappy competitors who are moving faster and breaking things. If OpenAI gets light regulation, they can move at breakneck speed, deploy agents everywhere, and dominate the market before anyone catches up. This isn't just a high-minded debate about AI safety, it's a bare-knuckle fight for market dominance.
Absolutely. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. Let's hit the lightning round. We've got some quick hits on the broader cultural impact of all this tech. First up, water wars.
Yeah, Sam Altman went to India this week and caused quite a stir. He was asked about the environmental impact of AI, specifically data centers, and he called concerns about AI water usage totally fake and insane.
He compared the energy it takes to train an AI model to the 20 years of food and energy required to train a human being.
Which is certainly a choice of argument.
It's a highly provocative argument. He's basically saying, look, humans are incredibly inefficient. We take 20 years of constant resource consumption to become productive members of society. AI takes a few months of electricity and water, and then it knows everything.
But the actual environmental data completely contradicts his dismissive tone on the resource impact. The International Energy Agency projects data center water usage to literally triple by 2030. You can't spin your way out of the laws of thermodynamics. These massive AI data centers are incredibly thirsty. Comparing them to human children growing up is a rhetorical deflection from a very real infrastructure crisis.
Fair point. Next up, Perplexity versus the ad model.
Perplexity is officially pivoting. They're seeing OpenAI jump headfirst into integrating ads into ChatGPT, and Perplexity is running the exact opposite direction. They want to rely purely on user subscriptions and hardware device partnerships.
They are betting that users are fundamentally sick of being sold things every time they ask a question.
They are betting on trust as a product. If your AI search engine is biased by who paid the most for ad placement, it becomes inherently less useful and less trustworthy. Perplexity wants to be the clean, premium alternative. It's a very smart brand differentiation strategy while OpenAI chases ad dollars.
And quickly on the topic of coding agents, Anthropic just released an interesting study on how people are actually using these tools.
The study shows agents are absolutely thriving in software development. 50% of all agent use is just writing and debugging code, but they barely exist in any other industry yet. It turns out, writing code is the easiest thing for an AI to do because code is a perfectly structured, logical language. It has strict rules. Navigating a messy legacy CRM system or a disorganized physical warehouse, that's much, much harder. The much-hyped agent revolution is happening, but it's incredibly uneven.
Which ties into the new tool they launched, Claude Code Security, which actively reasons through code to find complex bugs, acting much more like a human security researcher than a simple scanner.
Exactly.
And finally, a bit of futurism to round us out. Pika Labs launched something called AI Selves.
Persistent digital clones that post on social media for you continuously.
So I can just have my AI clone argue on Twitter for me while I sleep.
That's the idea. The internet is about to get a lot more crowded with synthetic personalities that never sleep, never log off, and perfectly mimic your tone. You soon won't know if you are arguing with a real person or just their automated proxy self.
And if that wasn't futuristic enough, a company called Zifra released ZUNA.
Yes, an AI trained directly on brainwave data. It is literally reconstructing human brain signals into text. We are inching dangerously close to actual telepathy. It's early days, obviously, but the implication is direct brain-to-computer communication without ever speaking or typing.
Incredible. So let's try to bring this all together. Look at the whole board. What does this all mean for the listener today?
The main takeaway is that we are seeing massive fragmentation. The AI landscape is cracking apart into distinct factions. Hardware is fragmenting. You have Nvidia trying to dominate laptops while OpenAI tries to invent new ambient speakers and lamps. Ideology is fragmenting. Anthropic is begging for safety regulations while OpenAI pushes for speed. And compute itself is fragmenting. General-purpose GPUs are now competing against Taalas and their hardwired silicon.
It's not just one smooth line moving up and to the right anymore. It's a messy, chaotic explosion moving in every possible direction at once.
Precisely. And the choices we make right now about which hardware ecosystems we buy into, which regulations we support politically, will determine where all these pieces land for the next decade.
I want to leave you with one final thought today. Going back to Sam Altman. He argued in India that training an AI is fundamentally more efficient than training a human being. He views that raw efficiency as the ultimate metric of progress. So if OpenAI's new Smart Lamp and Spy Speaker are sitting in our homes, constantly watching us, listening to our conversations, learning our habits, are they really there to serve us? Or are we just the training data for the next generation of efficient digital beings? Are we just feeding the models that will eventually replace us entirely?
That is the defining question of the decade.
Keep your agents in check, and we'll see you tomorrow.
That wraps up today's briefing. The signal for today is presence. Presence in the home with OpenAI's hardware, presence in the laptop with Nvidia's new chips, and the heavy presence of the Pentagon in the future of AI safety. This episode was made possible by AIRIA. As your employees bring shadow AI into the physical world, don't fly blind. Get unified visibility and security with AIRIA. Check the link in the show notes. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Please subscribe and share. Until tomorrow, keep unraveling the future.
And before you go, if your company is building the tools that power the workflows we talked about today, I'd love to showcase them to this audience. We don't just run ads, we build technical simulations that prove your value. Let's build something together. Visit jamgamind.com/partners to get started. Until next time, keep building.